What's going on, everyone? My name is Gaetan. I've been doing e-commerce and marketing for over 10 years. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing nearly everything I know and have learned in the past 10 years from doing marketing, doing e-commerce, scaling small brands, big brands, and everything in between, spending a fortune on advertising, doing email marketing funnels, and keeping up with the trends as we go along. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from this video. And let's dive in. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's grab my pencil here. And to start off this video, I wanted to share like a couple 4 or 5 dashboards here really quickly to browse over the experience and to show you that I really do have a bit of knowledge behind this video. And I think it's gonna be pretty clear from the videos that I share on my channel, from the social media I post, and then, you know, a bit from this as well to demonstrate that you are in good hands here. I also don't have a course to sell, so this is just me sharing knowledge for you guys to hopefully help you gain something. I want to start off with a couple of concepts because I think this is going to be valuable, and I think this is something that everybody needs to grasp before you like jump in and run ads, because most of the people and most of these, you know, like online gurus, that's what they preach right now. Like, just get started, dive in, and then basically lose customers because you don't have like the prior knowledge. And I think like moving forward into especially this day and age and this AI era, I think it's going to be even more important to pay good attention to these concepts that I'm going to explain in order to give you an edge to things like an MCP that can run your ads. Don't be afraid. They're not there not even close. So we still have a long way to go, and that's good. But yeah, let me not get into that. Let me jump into the concepts. First thing you need to understand is transformation. And this truly is an important point. So I know it's going to be cut off here. I've been learning because I've cut off my camera in certain other videos, but now it should be pretty clear that this is about a perfume. And this is obviously Carlito Alcaraz, the tennis player, very well known. I think he's #1, or it might be Sinner. I don't really remember, but marketing is about selling a transformation. You're barely ever selling a product. You're barely ever selling like an explicit service. You're selling transformation either to a business or to a person. You would never see an ad, for example, this one about Tom Ford, where they are trying to market and trying to sell. They're actually trying to sell this, even though it doesn't have benefits and features, but you'll never see like an ad with the benefits and the features of this bottle. Like, ooh, it's not a heavy bottle. It can fit in your travel case. It sprays really well, right? It only needs like one spray and damn, you're covered in Tom Ford. They don't do that. But they do sell the transformation. The same thing with this. I think this is an ad for Nike. So they don't want to sell you this ball. They don't want to sell you this shirt. But they do want to sell you the transformation. They want you to look and feel and be empowered just like one of the best tennis players in the world. They want you to feel like this gentleman right here. Even though you might have a blue collar job, you might never wear a suit in your life, like I am. I always wear t-shirts, but maybe I do want to smell like this guy. I want to smell rich. I bet this smells really rich. And you'll see this also like in the video advertisements of these perfumes. They focus on the surroundings, right? The social aspect of a perfume, right? The women are going to fall into your lap. You are going to be very seductive for a women perfume if you wear this perfume. Like, they sell the transformation. And even like with more explicit product ads like this, for example, me encanta cuarto de libra con queso, right? They're selling the version of you that is craving this burger, right? They're not going to say like, hey, luckily they're not going to say like, hey, this has so many calories and so many proteins. They don't talk about features and benefits. They don't talk about how this can fit in your diet, but they want you to aspire to a version of yourself that's eating this. And it might sound pretty abstract if you're visiting this concept for the first time, but it'll become very clear to you that this is what you need to do to go from a good or even a mediocre marketeer to a really great one. If you're able to lean into that transformation, right? If you're able to tap into the transformation and see what you need to portray to activate that transformation, then you'll do very good, right? So here you're trying to aspire to a version where like, hey, I would really love a bite of this, right? That's a transformation. I'm not eating a McDonald's Quarto de Libra right now, but I would want to, but I'm on a diet because summer's coming up, but damn, this would be very good, right? Same thing with this. Like you could spice it up and add like a person in here to make it feel really homey, and then like add a dog here on the couch. Dog here on the floor, I mean, to make like a real home. Like this would even more so inspire you to get this interior because you want to have like this cozy home. You want to build a family. Maybe your apartment is like empty, like a real man apartment where you only have like a couch and a TV, and you want to aspire to this version that has a family. I want a dog, I want a family, I want people to sit in my living room space, right? But this is exactly the same. Like this entire interior looks really good, but they are selling just this. But you don't see like, hey, this is a 2-seater, grab it right now. It's only like $4.99 or whatever the price may be. And then you have like this additionally, and this is only like $199 sell up. You don't see it, right? You don't see anything about the product in itself. You just see the version that you can aspire to become, right? I want to have this really cool, neat interior. It looks really cozy. That's why I'm buying this sofa, right? And then it shows up and it gets delivered and you notice like, hey, whoa, this place is still pretty empty and cold. But that's the marketing for you, okay? So this is a very important concept. I think I've said enough about this. I don't want to make this video like 2 days long, so I'm gonna move on. But this is a very important concept, right? You are selling the upgraded version of the purchaser, right? The purchaser becomes by buying. I want that product. I want that product because that will make me feel good. It will make me feel cool. It will make me feel attractive. It'll make me feel like a family man, whatever it may be. You're selling the transformation, right? Next concept, and I put these two together because as I was preparing the video, I thought maybe I would drag it on too much. So I put them together because this is also like something that will become very clear to you as you're doing marketing, but it's something that you need to understand. If you don't understand this, like, what's the point? You can, that's NPC marketing, right? You don't want to be an NPC, right? So everybody and their mom remembers this, and I say and their mom because this is very old. And it's also poop, right? You don't want to, if I ever see this or a customer points to this to say like, hey, what are we doing for the awareness phase? They might as well get my iPhone thrown at them, right? I don't want to hear about this because this is outdated, right? This doesn't follow the digital marketing journey that we are in right now. It doesn't follow the enormous exposure and importance of social media nowadays, of influencers, of all that. So this is very outdated, right? Scratch it, forget about it. Don't pay any attention to it. You have to look at this. And I stole this, so shout out to Digity Marketing. I stole this because this is what I wanted to get. So please forgive me. But this is the version that you need to look at, right? You have exposure, you have your discovery, you have considerate. Don't mind reading all this. I'm going to go through it, right? So don't pay any attention here. Focus on this, right? Exposure, discovery, consideration, conversion, customer relationship, and retention. This is what it's about. This is the funnel that is working for you right now or working against you, right? So don't, like, really study this before you start. Like running ads mindlessly and without this context, without these concepts in mind, is just going to set you up for failure. So really pay attention to this. This is important. I know school sucks. This is not in life school. It's cooler, I hope, but this is really where the magic happens, right? So if we scroll down, I put my own little version on it. And again, don't pay attention to any of this. Just focus on this, right? So you have your exposure, the first block, right? You have your exposure. This is going to be organic and organic looking ads, right? You've seen all the ads, like the UGC ones, the testimonial ones, the POV ones, that come with me in a day in the life as I purchase a product that was sent to me by a brand and I got paid a good amount for it. All of those ads and organics, this is the flywheel that you're looking for. Also good to know that these and these amplify each other. It's going to be very hard to run just on ads if you have no social presence, right? So exposure truly is these two working together. And you can expand this to like 100 different branches. You can say, yes, organic exposure is influencers, it's affiliates, it's branding events, it's billboards for whatever I care, right? It's all of these things. Yes, that's true, but this is just the umbrella organic. And then you have organic looking ads, right? So this has nothing to do with like bottom of the funnel, catalog ads, features and benefits, selling transformation, none of that, right? Organic looking exposure. Then you have your discovery, and your discovery is your profile grid on social media. So how does your social media, what does it look like? What does it portray to the user? Does it resonate, right? Profile grid on TikTok, Instagram, I want to say Facebook, but it's not that relevant anymore. So let's say TikTok, Instagram, right? Is it resonating? And then your website in itself, is that resonating? Is it looking clean? Are you paying attention to the right things? Are you implementing your social proof? Do you implement your reviews? Is the load speed good? Is the product layout clean and organized, right? They're not shopping your product yet, so don't worry, right? They're just getting like first impressions. Like for the first time that you meet your fiance's parents, right? And you just do like the introduction. You're not looking into their closet yet, right? Finding out what they wear on a Sunday evening, right? You're not. You're just getting the first impressions, right? What does the house look like? Do I see myself living here? What type of profile accounts do they have, right? All of that. Discovery. And then when you move down to consideration, if those two check the box, right? They have their exposure, they did their discovery, organics are looking good, profile grid is looking clean, website is looking good. It looks like something. It looks like something or someone that I want to become, right? I see the transformative version of myself in these two first layers. Let's move on to consideration. Then you have the offer page. And the offer page is going to be like classic with like software or something. You have these classic marketing landing pages, which basically blend everything together. They have the offer, they have the reviews, they have the features, the benefits, they have like a cool little ebook that you can download, right? Or they have the offer page could just be like the product page, right? Really exploring and diving into considering buying this product, right? That's it. So these already need to check out. Like if you're paying attention and you're not just listening to if you're listening to what I'm saying, that's already really good. But if you're thinking along, then you will already know that just blasting ads here, like bottom of the funnel and say, hey, buy this product without even paying attention to these different phases, it's just never going to work. And then people would end up like blaming their ads and say like, hey, this ad sucks. I need to run more ads, or I need to create more ads, or I need to turn down my ISO because the sun is coming up. But while it has nothing to do with your ad, right? So this is very important. Pay attention to the entire funnel of your advertising journey and your product or service journey before you start blasting ads, right? But if this checks out, this checks out, this checks out, then they go to checkout. In checkout, things can still go wrong. You cannot offer a payment method, for example, that the user is looking for. They can be distracted. If you have like these external links during your checkout, you're going to lose people. If you have hidden fees that only show up at the checkout, you're going to lose people. So pay attention to your checkout as well, which is the conversion phase of your website, whether that be products or service, doesn't really matter. And then comes maybe one of the most important parts of the modern marketing journey, right? Because once they convert, they go into customer relationship and retention, right? Customer relationship is very important because this is where you can extract more value at the same cost, right? So you toss them into a CDP. CDP is a customer data platform, can be anything, right? It doesn't need to be a full-fledged customer data platform, which costs a fortune. It can also be like classic email marketing software, can also be like a CRM, can be whatever, right? Just somewhere to store your customers and somewhere to store your users in a CDP. And then you're going to work on retention. Note this down, tattoo it on your forehead. Retention is cheaper than acquisition, always. And to show you this, I'm going to give you a very clear example, but this is where you can make the difference, right? Oof, this is so fine, right? Imagine you have a customer acquisition cost. We're going to dive into metrics a bit later on in this video, but customer acquisition cost, right? So the price to acquire a customer is $40. You have an average order value. So every customer that buys something in your store on average is going to spend $90. Say you have a cost of goods. I put in the all here. So say include shipping, include taxes, everything together is $60. Then you're going to have a gross profit of $20 per order, right? So you just do 90 minus 40 minus 30. So you have $20, right? So the organic looking ads together with like the bottom of the funnel ads and everything included was going well, right? You did this very good. Pat on the back to you. Profile grid and website, very good. Offer page, very good. Everything you passed with flying colors, right? And you got your $90 AOV. Woo! So you make a sweet 20 bucks, right? If you then toss them into your CDP and you work on your retention, you work on your customer relationships with that customer that you just bought and you made 20 bucks off, you can expand that revenue. Expansion revenue, right? They can put in a repeat order for 200 bucks and you don't have to spend anything here. Like, yes, you have your monthly cost, but your monthly cost is like negligible to the uptick in revenue that you can generate, right? So all of a sudden you didn't make 20 bucks, but you made, let's say, quick napkin math. So this would be like $65 here in cost of goods. So then you made 50, 30, 135 on top of that. 135 extra profit weighed against your like monthly subscription costs of like a Klaviyo or whatever. Shout out Klaviyo. I don't really pay attention to other email marketing software because we're a partner with Klaviyo and they treat me really well. So shout out Klaviyo. Everyone watching this video should get Klaviyo. But this is like a free 135 bucks on top of profit, of gross profit, which looks a whole lot better than your 20 bucks, right? This is bottles in the club in Miami. This is like buying a coffee in a Starbucks, maybe one, no extra pumpkin spice, or you're gonna run short and you're gonna need an extra $2, right? This is where the magic happens. So this is truly, truly, truly where you pay attention. After you did the acquisition cost, look for offers, post-purchase, RFM, upsells, loyalty flows, new acquisition, new product launches. happens and you're already acquired, you already did the legwork, you already spent the money, so why not go for a little extra juice, right? That's a very important concept. Then we're moving down to the next thing I want to talk about, because we spent a little time here on the metrics. So maybe this is like an important thing to know, because if you are doing marketing, you're going to be entirely, well, not entirely, but you're going to be for a large part very dependent on the metrics. I'm going to cover a little part here with my camera, but it doesn't really matter because this is like visually enough. So you're going to be very dependent on metrics and your understanding of the metrics, especially like in the era that we are going to right now with AI, and the interpretation of data by AI is pretty good. Yes, they do hallucinate. Yes, they make shit up. But in general, it's going to give you a very good rundown of what's working, what's not working. So it's going to be more important for you to know what to do with the data and to make it understandable for not only you, but also your customers, right? So people always love the very large agencies. They always love to build out these crazy dashboards that look like they're going to launch a rocket to the moon every single day that they wake up for every single brand that they touch. And they're measuring like these a million different points, which for the customer is very confusing, right? It looks impressive and it's going to work like the first couple of weeks, maybe months, but then they're going to get pretty tired of seeing like your crazy dashboards. But your customer has a bank account, right? So if they don't see the bank account growing, that's going to be like end of the line, even with your crazy dashboards. So my number one take on your marketing metrics, make it understandable and make it accessible. So all our customers, they can look at their dashboard in real time. There's a real-time sync, and we make it stupidly understandable. And yes, it's good to know, like, it's good to be a data nerd, right? It pays to be a data nerd simply because you can make better assumptions, you can draw better hypotheses, and you can maybe draw better conclusions as well if you have like the entire data spec compared to like only a couple of metrics. But when you drill down, it's always going to be like 4 or 5 what we call North Star metrics that matter to the customer. All the other stuff follows the North Star metrics. So if your North Star metrics are looking a bit sick, then basically you're doing a bad job, and there's no other metrics to justify where your North Star metrics are looking off. So what are the North Star metrics? Very good question. Let's jump in. I have defined them here. These for us have been the most important 4, maybe 5 metrics that we track and that we communicate to our customer as well on a regular basis to say, hey, pay attention to this one because these are the most important ones, right? You have POAS, profit on ad spend. Mind you, I don't draw like the extra stick here to say ROAS. Good people, good brands and good marketeers don't really care about ROAS, right? ROAS doesn't take into account your costs, doesn't take into account your difference in margins between different products or different categories. So we always look at POAS, profit on ad spend, which basically is calculated by doing revenue minus all your cost of goods. So also shipping, taxes, all the good stuff, minus marketing spend. And this can also be with the overhead. So the management fee of the agency or the freelancer that's running this gig, right? So you're only left with the P, which stands for profit. And let me tell you, business owners love the P, right? So that's something that is very important to pay attention to. And we also track this, like this is a little bonus round. We also track this on a product level. So for every product, we know the POAS of that product, and we can pay like special attention to marketing like the more profit bound products instead of like the products that maybe move really well, but they don't really have, they have tight margins, so they don't really bring in a lot of profit, which again, it's cool to say like, hey, we made $1 million revenue, but if that's only like 10% margin, nobody's really happy about it, right? Instead of like maybe only doing 600K with 50% margins, that's a lot better. Then we have CVR, conversion rate, your amount of clicks divided by the amount of orders. If 100 people click and you have 3 orders, that's a 3% conversion rate. The reason why I say this is because this is very important when it comes to leverage, right? So if you are spending 10K, right, 10K a month doing your advertising, and you can change this only like 1%, that's extra free revenue on top at the exact same cost. That's why it's so big to chase your CVR and to watch this as well, because things can convert pretty badly, which might be a signal for you to change certain stuff around. But you could also increase the conversion rate to have like better conversion rates and again bring in more leverage. So this is definitely something that you should be paying close attention to. And it's not only the website, like of course, like if you go into Shopify and you see like all these metrics dashboards, you can say like, hey, we have sessions, we have, and then here you have like conversion rate and it's already tracked in there. But it doesn't only live on the website. You also have conversion rates for your ad sets, for your visuals. You have conversion rates for your products. You have conversion rates for your emails, the emails that you send. Every single bit of the funnel has conversion rates, and it's very important for you to pay attention to these different conversion rates on these different stages of the funnel, because an incremental gain of 10% on your conversion rate is just 10% uplift. It's just straight revenue, straight profit without you touching anything else in this funnel. So conversion rate, hyper important. Then we have not CAC, which is a classic that you already know, right? But NCAC, because this is more important and more valid to track instead of like the regular CAC. This stands for new customer acquisition cost, right? So instead of doing like the general and also counting returning customers, which basically isn't really right, you're going to do marketing spend, like all marketing spend, divided by the number of new customers. So customers that have never shopped before. So how much does it cost to acquire a new customer, a brand new customer, right? And then last but not least, this is also something that is really valuable to track. It's marketing efficiency rate, or MER, which is basically like all your marketing spend versus all order revenue. So what this does is it takes into account all your marketing spend across all marketing channels, and it measures the efficiency rate. And this is like really important, especially like when you're scaling, because as you increase your spend, mostly your marketing efficiency rate can slump down. So it's a valuable metric to track to keep it on the same level and not lose any specific efficiency as you're scaling, right? On smaller accounts, this doesn't really matter because you'll have a lot of revenue also being generated like outside of your marketing, so it matters less. But especially if you're scaling, if a lot of it is paid advertising, this is something that you need to pay attention to. So if you track these metrics, you're already doing a really good job. These are the ones to pay attention to. All the other marketing metrics just follow suit on this one. So these are the ones to track. These are the ones to communicate to your customer, or these are the ones that you should follow if you don't have a customer and you're doing the marketing for yourself, right? Tools like Google BigQuery, Looker Studio, Google Ads itself, they all have these metrics, so it should be pretty straightforward in order to track this. Then we move into the next section, and I think this is pretty cool to talk about nowadays, especially like with this little guy, Jean-Claude, the guy that everybody hates on, while he's actually pretty useful. But what is the difference between, because I see a lot of fear mongering, a lot of FUD on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on TikTok, of course, is very popular to say it's all doom and gloom and everybody just lost their job. And to a certain extent, like people might be right to fear, but on the other hand, like if at this point you're not able to differentiate your skills from what Claude can do, then I think you have like a skill issue and not really a AI is coming for me issue, right? So what's the difference between Mr. Claude and you, the marketeer? Have you heard of ChatGPT, right? Let's dive in, right? This is the this is the difference. This is the chapter that Claude doesn't have yet, and it's going to be, from the research that I've learned, it's going to be a very long time before they get this completely right. So this is how you differentiate, but this is also, like, without AI, how you turn from a good marketeer into a great marketeer, in my humble opinion, right? First of all, the research layer, right? Research layer can be about your product, right? So the research layer is going to be about what your product is, right? So product research, what does my product do? Is it completely useless like these two, or does it have the USPs? What are the USPs? What are, in the enormous range of useless products that I have, what are my best sellers? What are my best selling categories, right? Because they will get your marketing up and running the fastest, right? Don't focus on the entire set. Find the best sellers first, get your data in, and then scale your marketing from there. Who are my competitors? Who am I competing against? What do they have? What makes their product cheaper, more expensive? Why can they ask a bigger price than I can? Why is their marketing talking to this specific customer? Why do they have their handles black, right? Does it work better? What are they marketing? What products are they putting forward, right? Benefits and features. What does my product do? Whoa, it fills its own bucket if I just water the plants. Really cool. What are the upsell funnels, right? If they buy this useless fork, will they then also buy this useless spoon? Research layer about your product. You need to become the expert of your product. Find out what ticks, what makes it move, why are people paying the price? Why should they pay the price, right? Everything psychological and objectively behind your product, right? Do your research, note it down, stock it somewhere, throw it into Claude. Doesn't matter. Do your research, right? Before you start marketing, this is where the magic happens. But then also, the research layer doesn't stop there. Who is your audience? Who are they, right? What do they want? Yes, I want to sell my useless fork, but what do they want? What are they looking for? Are they looking, for example, for my useless fork? Maybe they just want some kid that is always messing with their food to have the useless fork so that they can't mess with their food anymore. Maybe they're going to a birthday party and they're looking for a gift that'll be funny, right? They want to be a funny guy, right? Give a useless fork to somebody. What do they want? It doesn't really matter what you want, right? People don't care what you want. They want something for themselves. So what do they want from your product? When do they shop? Do they shop in the weekend, Monday, when it's summer, winter, right? Seasonality, very important to figure out. Why would they care? Like I said, marketing isn't about your product. Marketing isn't about your service. People don't give a about your service or product. People care about themselves. Why would they care about your product? Because it changes something in them, because it gives them more value, because it activates something in them that they didn't have before. So why would they care? If you find out that, you can make killer ads. You can make ads that print all day long. So this is a very important question. Where do they shop? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, physical locations, wherever they shop, you need to find out and be there when they are ready to shop. How will they relate? How can we translate all of this info, right? Where they shop, when they shop, why they would care, what do they want? How can we make this relatable? Because we can have this all figured out and our ad can just not land. Our product can just not land. Our website can just not land. We need to make it relatable, right? They need to say like, yes, I've been having this question, I've been having these desires, and this is exactly who and what is going to solve it, right? Make it relatable. What is going to resonate once we figured out how it will relate? How will it resonate, right? What do we need to show this customer? What needs to be in the video? Does it need to be a video? Does it need to be a static? What needs to be in the static? Which colors do we use? Which copy do we use? This makes all the difference. Like if you ask Claude to do like this copy for this brand and this brand, it'll be practically the same without this research layer. You need to find out your audience, because newsflash, right? You're selling to this guy, you're selling to this woman, you're selling to this guy, right? You're not selling to a bot. You're not selling to like an engine, right? You're selling to people. So you need to know who they are, why they shop, why they care, right? And then another important question, like say you have 3% conversion rate and you're all happy flappy. Why is the 97% not buying? What the hell am I doing wrong? Why is 97% of the people that I'm showing this to not buying? Also, a very important question that you need to learn about your audience. So do this beforehand, before you start blasting ads, but also, and even more importantly, while you are blasting ads, look at your products, look at your ads, look at your email marketing, look at your website. How can we improve for the people that we now know are interested in our product, but they're not buying yet? So it must be in somewhere that is going wrong, right? So find out, fix it, and you'll have more money, right? Who doesn't love money? Next, if you have all your research down pat and you did a good job there, and this is not like, maybe I want to say like one thing more about this research layer. This is not like a journey of 7 days like it used to be. Like you could have a couple of good prompts, you could do like a bit back and forth and always use your brain. Like this is never going to come out of a Claude, out of a Gemini or ChatGPT and be ready for use. It's always going to be like a back and forth. Like basically treat your Claude or your ChatGPT, treat it like a junior intern that you can do like, you pedal the boat, I steer the ship. That's what I always say to our guys, and that's what has been working for us, right? So very important. And then you have the context layer, and this is for when you're actually running ads, to always keep your context in mind, right? Because things are going to happen. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So everything is being influenced. There's a lot of parameters to look out for. There's a lot of things happening at all times. And your brilliant Mr. Jean-Claude or ChatGPT or whomever is going to say ROAS for this product or ad, right? Let's say product or ad. It doesn't matter. Ad with an A. ROAS is down 50%. So I'm going to kill this ad and I'm going to say, this ad sucks, make me a new one. While there could be like 100 different things going on. There might be an out of stock issue, and that's why the ROAS is down. There might be a temporary offer, which is why the ROAS is completely down. There might be a tracking problem. There might be a attribution problem. There might be, for example, a 50% discount on that specific product. So the ROAS is down, right? Always keep in mind the context of everything that's happening in your entire funnel, right? It's just not about ads when it comes to marketing. Marketing ads is just like one very small, it's actually big, but it's a part of marketing. It's not the entire marketing, right? So everything at once could be happening, and it's your job to bring context to every single situation at every single step of the funnel, right? Even if you're doing your research, there's also context. Maybe they don't care because they were shopping somewhere which wasn't resonating and relating to the message that we had for that specific, right? Everything is combined, right? There's nothing happening in a vacuum like Henry here, right? CAC is up. Exact same thing. Your customer acquisition could be up, could be a million different things. Maybe your customer acquisition cost being up is a good thing because your new type of customer has a lifetime value of 1,000, which was before maybe like $400 in lifetime value, which had a cheaper customer acquisition cost, but they just found more valuable customers for you. So don't just say CAC is up, yo, I'm gonna kill this ad because Claude told me to, and I'm seeing the CAC is up, so that's a good decision, right? Context matters a lot. And then if you're creative-ish, then it might also be like related to something completely else. Like maybe the product is not working, but your creative is really good, so test it for a new product. Maybe it's telling you that the creative is a dog, but actually there's just not attribution to this visual that you built, but it's doing like the top heavy work, right? It's doing like the organic work for you, right? So 3 little examples just to demonstrate that context might be like the most important thing at this moment for someone doing marketing, right? And then to end this off, I wanted to go briefly on the channels. Like I'm gonna do other channel deep dives later on in the journey of this channel. For now, I'm just gonna go briefly to make this like a complete video on like the marketing side of things and like the concepts that you want, because maybe this is like a bold claim, but I think if you understand and truly and deeply understand the concepts and the frameworks that I talked about in this video, and you are able to build your understanding of context and your understanding of research, the running the ads and creating the ads is not the hardest part, right? The hardest part is the thought behind the ads, is the thought behind the structure. It's the decisions and the strategy of combining context and research and all of that to become like a successful ad and be successful at marketing. But once you understand all of this, you can apply it to every step of the funnel. You can apply it to your ads, to your creatives that you run with your ads. You can apply it to your website, apply it to your email marketing, and apply it to all your offers. And you'll be really successful, right? I wanted to state it a bit more humble, but you're going to be really successful, right? So let me touch on the channels here. We took the biggest ones. I know there's others, but Google, Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, right? If we break it down, it's basically this, right? Google is mostly for solving a problem. If you're solving an objective problem which doesn't need a visual cue or a visual identifier, mostly you're going to spend a lot of money on Google. For example, selling a utility product like a water bottle. If you're selling a water bottle, maybe that's not even like a really good one. Say you're doing a mirror, right? A lot of mirrors can look the same. Google is going to be a good solution for you. Say you're cleaning windows. Cleaning windows doesn't need a visual cue at all, right? It doesn't matter who's doing my windows. I just want a clean job. So I'm going to look on Google for solving my problem. Meta and TikTok are visually amplified problems and visual first, right? So for visual first, like the most clear example that you can give is like clothes, right? We could shop both for a t-shirt, right? Gray t-shirt, right? I want a gray t-shirt, but you might want it with a graphic on it. You might want it with the sleeves off, while you might want it a slim fit, while I want a loose fit, right? So the visual first is going to be very important here because I want to see what it looks like. I just don't want to go blind on Google and say, hey, gray t-shirt, and cop the first one. That's not what I'm after. I want to identify first what I'm buying, right? If I'm cleaning windows, I don't give a about what the window cleaning is going to look like, right? I just want to see reviews and I want to solve my problem. So visually amplify problems. Another good thing is like weight loss stuff, right? Weight loss, you're going to have like a visually amplified problem. Like, yes, you could type like weight loss pills and it's going to do very well for you, but it can be visually amplified. Like if you see a really obese person and then you see them slim down, it's going to be visually amplified, right? So that's going to be Meta and TikTok for you. They scale unusually well if you hit the right creatives. You can run really big budgets on these two, also on Google, but you're more dependent here on the search volume that's behind it. So if say 500 people are looking to buy a certain product or service, then you can service, or you can serve those 500 people if you would cover 100% of the market, which is never the case. So in Meta, you can kind of stimulate, Meta and TikTok, sorry, you could basically stimulate that demand and bring it to a higher level even without existing demand. So you could capture existing demand plus generate more of it. So visually amplify problems, visual first, right? Yes. And then Pinterest and TikTok basically only run on these channels if you absolutely hate money. It's for big brands. It's like end of the year. If they have some spend leftovers, they jump on Pinterest and Snapchat. I hate it. I never visit those channels. I work with these three exclusively. And if clients ask about these two, I ignore their mails. No, I'm just kidding. But I tell them no. Unless you're doing like millions upon millions on these already, and like every single budget is exhausted and there's no more demand to capture, then you can go towards these. But basically these are going to be like 99% of all your advertising needs. And that's where I'm going to draw the line and end this video. I hope it's been really helpful for you. I try to make it as concise and to the point as I possibly could. If some of these concepts you would like to see a more in-depth video, please do let me know. And I hope to see you around on the channel a lot more often.